Just a little reminder for those of you that don't know, there are snacks in the bag, wine and water bottles over here. Help yourself. There are little cups of trail mix floating around, and we've got a little bit more you can refill. My name is Trisha. I'm with Old Republic Title. Thank you so much for coming. We are so excited to have you here. I mean, it's a bit of a bummer because it's such a beautiful day outside. But if it makes you feel better, if you're a Fitbit user or you carry your phone with you, you can get an additional like 60 steps when you go to the bathroom and back. So the restrooms are down and to the right and around the corner. So essentially the restrooms are right over here on this other side. You just have to go down and around. I counted my stride. It's like 29 each way. So you should be good. Oh, and I think men will get a couple more because I think yours is a little bit farther. So there you go. Anyway, we are so excited to have you here today. Old Republic, if you are not familiar with us, we are super selective about the content that we present and the instructors that we choose. We don't want to just give you food and CE credit, although, hello. We want to give you something valuable so you can elevate the conversations that you're having with your clients and really be of value to them. That's what we want for you to be able to provide to your clients as well. We just want to raise the bar across the board. Our intent is to disrupt the title industry and offer you something different. Offer you something better for your clients so that you are more valuable to them. And that's why we've chosen Trevor. Trevor Hammond is here to speak to you today. He is going to teach this class. He's an mortgage industry thought leader, thought provoker, really gets in there and digs in with you. And a mortgage is not just a mortgage. He and his team really see it as part of your client's whole financial package. And so they want to have conversations with you and have conversations with your clients that really make it be more than just a loan. It's all of that. And the goal for all of you is, of course, to raise their net worth as well. So with that, I'd like to introduce Trevor, and he's going to power through. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like that intro in writing somewhere, though.
I'll email it to you.
I like it. And thanks to Old Republic Title. And everybody here knows Trisha?
Yes.
Personally, working with you already, should be. I really just appreciate you guys. We've got a partnership with you for, going on a couple of years now, and they've been such big supporters of what we're doing as a mortgage company. It's really trying to redefine how consumers, how real estate professionals, how financial professionals view a mortgage company. We're very unique, and I know everybody says that, but today you're going to learn some things we're actually doing that unfortunately, I'll probably share some things that really peeve me about this industry, some of my passions, but not enough people are doing what we're going to talk about today from a mortgage standpoint. And it's real estate finance, I believe, is the CE we're getting today. You, not me. But I won't go too crazy on numbers today, right? So even though it is in finance, I wrote this book I co-wrote it with a mentor of mine, Todd Ballinger, I think in 2007 now. So it's been going on 10 years that I have been truly a student of these concepts, teaching them to other people. So what I'm doing right now, I just love it. Everybody needs to know this stuff and be paying it forward. So that's part of my purpose is I get to get up. I've given this class and taught these concepts to thousands of people. Many sessions like this with real estate pros. I've given classes like this to a room full of financial planners who sat there and went, oh my gosh, I didn't know anybody in the living world even taught this stuff. This is great. Because it's that valuable of information. So, we're going to be talking about, as it says on the screen, how does the house, and what I call the house wealth, many of you call it home equity, function as a tool for you to create more net worth, financial safety for you over time. Because my hope is if you all know it, your conversation is going to change. My hope is that every time you sit down at a listing appointment, your conversations will change with that customer. You will change your relationship, you will change your value proposition, and it will no longer, magic wand, I get it, it will no longer be who's going to reduce their commission on listing my house. Okay, that's the commodity side of the business, right? Just like us. Oh, so-and-so's processing fees, only $4.95 and you're $5.95. Okay, that's a horrible business to be in for all of us, right? You are being treated as if you're no different than the next person who has the same licensing, all those same 3-letter digits underneath your signature on your emails that they don't even know what they mean. But you took lots of classes and you got certified. Okay, I'm a certified liability advisor, but nobody knows what the heck that is. It sounds really cool. I got that in 2006, I believe. So I am the regional manager for Sierra Pacific. I have a handful of my amazing mortgage professionals in the room. Some of you are here because of them. They are the implementation specialists for everything I'm about to talk about. I now teach and train and coach so I can get this out to more folks. We'll talk more about how all that might work later. Again, you have to get to know me, right? Know me, like me, trust me. Isn't that the basis of sales? So if you're going to listen to anything I say, I set some big goals. Some of you in the room already know this. I climbed Kilimanjaro in October. Had no clue what I was doing. It was a good climb mountains. Nope, never climbed a mountain before in my life. I like to hike and camp. My son, Kyle, aka K-Man, zip lining. I take a lot of time off. I work my behind off, but I teach everyone that time off is not a reward for killing yourself the last 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months. Time off, in my opinion, is an absolute requirement to be at your peak, to be at your best when you're sitting down in front of your customers. People that are paying you a lot of money to give them the best advice, provide the best service. And when you're burnt out, how good are we? Right? When you're on vacation but you're just really working remotely, do you come back refreshed? Got some people on my team who might have just gotten back from a nice trip. First time in about 9 years that he and his wife were not working the whole time. Because that's what I really want. That's really part of my purpose of creating a business. And at the same time, I want you to realize you can do that and not be all about who calls back that prospect first. Right? The good old Zillow model, who's going to call them back first gets the business. I've always hated that model. So I've spent pretty much my whole career figuring out how to be so different and so unique that I'm worth waiting for. Check this out. I just added a spread before it came. That was last night. That was so cool. First lessons he's getting. It is awesome. All right. There's one of those stragglers we were just talking about. No, we weren't. We weren't talking about you. So I don't spend a lot of my time on statistics too much. I consider those the ticker symbol on the bottom of CNBC, and when you watch too much of that and you try to base your business on noise and information, it gets really, really stressful. So I try to base it more on wisdom principles and timeless strategies. But this was pretty cool. I looked at this recently with some of my colleagues. Has anybody seen this? Case Schiller? This one looks back at the history of housing values since like 1890. And then they set a baseline of 100 as if you bought a house in 1890 for 100,000, just what values have been done relative to that since then. And it's kind of cool to see. I'm sorry, there's a TV, but you see the dips, right? World War I, Great Depression, World War II, and then once the war was over, housing boom took off. And then we were pretty flat, but look, what's crazy is we kind of were the same all the way across. We just had these big dips. And obviously, recent history, we all know what happened there. And then it went crazy, as we all know. So before that, anybody hear the song I was playing? It was too noisy, you guys were all talking, I know. It was a Matchbox 20 song, Look How Far We've Come. I was getting ready for this event last couple days, and I thought, it's one of my favorite songs. Because we have come a long way. Were you guys all in the business pre-mortgage meltdown? Right? And we've all survived, and you're actually still in the business. Crazy people. How many have had a couple of the best years ever in the last couple of years? Anybody? We have. Sorry for all those people that got out of the business. Lots of people wanted to buy a house, and lots of people need the expert advice from people who know the business. This red line was their projection, and they really were just projecting it to go back to the mean. That's all they were doing. And then, what did the government do? step in, write a few, quadzillion dollars, and then now we're back up there. So a lot of times we don't want to focus too much on the statistics because there'll always be a need for what we do if we're really good at what we do and how we serve people. But sometimes we can look at, we're not back to where we were. And I'm not going to get into that. You guys probably have so many classes on that stuff. Like, there's no inventory, right? There's just no houses. We have, 500 million pre-qualified buyers right now. They're just trying to find houses. There's nothing out there. So, I added this in, new slide. Disclosure, shocking, I know. My colleague Colkin couldn't believe it. And I found that I just pulled up pictures on Google, but shocked. Baby monkeys. The stuff I'm going to talk about today is not for everybody. Here's my disclaimer. It always depends on the person's situation, their goals, maybe their self-discipline, which tends to absolutely suck for people when it comes to money, and personal finances. Just want to get that out there. And then I want to ask you guys, I would love to hear why you're here today. Honestly, you can say honestly. What?
Hours.
Did not expect that one.
The free food.
Okay, free food, credit hours. Who else has credit hours here?
It's sitting to you.
Yes! My plant. I planted that guy. Listening to me, thank you. I'm humbled. Work here is done.
I just might learn something.
You might learn something, yes. Did you realize that before you came in, or now I'm just so good on it? Who else was CE? Let's just see a hand, like only came because there were CE classes or credits. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, if I hold up long enough, everyone raise their hand. All right, so I consider this a privilege. You guys are blocking out travel time plus 2 hours to spend time with Tricia and myself, some of our loan officers that may have invited you as well as their guests. I thought, well, they have nothing else to do, so I plugged that one in, which is sad. I'm sorry if that was your answer that you just want to say. You're not a basketball fan, because I realized we booked this
On the best day of the year.
on about the best day of the year. Yeah.
Thank you for your dedication.
I'm so committed to this. Did Tricia or Justin tell anybody just you need to come to this and just you better be there? A little bit of that, maybe?
Well, something about it, I knew that Old Republic was putting it on. It wasn't going to be boring.
There you go. I had no idea there was going to be
And we
one.
did not plant that either.
I love it. I love it. CE credits we talked about. I even heard one of these. Now, obviously, I'm biased. I would love you to be here for this part. Improving your perceived value. I use the word perceived a lot around my team. It's not how valuable you think you are, it's how valuable the customer thinks you are. They need to perceive that as value. So all the stuff we're going to talk about today, I'm hoping you're going to tie into your world. But the art is, how do I make sure they perceive this as valuable? I know it's valuable. I know you need this, but people don't always buy what they need. Some strategies for you to help more people, make more money in your business, but we do it through value creation. One of the things, totally separate topic, but creating value creation monopolies in your relationships, where these clients of yours just gladly hand over everything to you because you are so valuable to their life and their money and their family. And they tell everyone about you. That's what I want to get across today. What I really want you all to walk out of here with is more freedom of time, more freedom of money. I think all of us at some level are desiring more time and more money. But we can't always create more of that, just snap our fingers. But we want more freedom with both of those things, don't we? So if you don't understand why we're going to talk about these concepts, you will just sit here and you will walk out with some credits. And a slight buzz and a full belly. And that's great. That's not a bad day, even though you missed basketball. But I want you to be thinking how you can apply this to your business. Apply this to your conversations. You do not want to be only as good as your last deal to that client. Things go wrong. This is a very complex business. This is the teeter-totter, right? I don't think my fancy points in order. But then you want to get to the point where you have freedom of relationships. I want to be able to say no to that person who's just not a good fit for our team. I want to walk into an office where I love the people I work with. Yes, you're not really struggling. You've already been. And then freedom of purpose. Anybody in here ever feel like they've got a really good purpose in their business? Yet? Like, yeah, I know why I get up every day, and I know why everybody should give a you know what. Because that's tough. Yes, love it. We all want to get there, and then your business becomes really easy. Right? It just becomes fun. You've been smiling since you sat there.
Good stuff.
It's annoying as heck, but jeez, awesome, though, right? You love what you do because you know why you're doing it. You know why you get up. You know why you're going through some of the stressful points. So this is going to be the real running theme throughout my day. And if you ever sit down with me over coffee, this is always coming back. We're always vacillating back and forth between these freedoms. CE stuff, I want you to walk out of here understanding better how the house functions as a wealth creation tool. It is a key piece for every one of ourselves and our clients that we've helped. You guys play an integral role here. And there's 7 steps that we teach everybody that we're going to share with you to empower our clients, empower you to also empower your clients to start thinking differently about how to make these borrowing and repayment decisions. And ultimately, as a real estate professional, this stuff can differentiate you. It can really have your conversation be completely different than all the other ones. Should we shut this door? Guess not. Who's there? The only ones at the hotel. This is the real problem I deal with. Early on in my career, extreme fiscal illiteracy. People don't understand money very well. Nobody's teaching them money. Their parents didn't know about money very well, so they never learned about money very well. The savings rate is atrocious. Okay? People spend all their money. They're severely behind on retirement. We've got a lot of financial problems because people don't always understand money very well. So that's really what we're trying to do with this kind of class, is we can have that, we can learn it ourselves, but we can also have an impact on teaching people about money. I looked this up recently. The ability to use knowledge and skills to manage financial resources effectively for a lifetime of financial well-being. That was from the presidents, I don't know which president. It's really recent, I think. Not that recent. Advisory Council on Financial Literacy. Is the house a pretty big financial resource to people? Not the biggest. It just about everybody ever has. So that's how we have to treat it, right? And who was responsible for getting into that house? Who was responsible for giving them a big pile of debt to get the house? Right? You too. Okay? So we've got a lot of responsibility. With power, great responsibility. So, I'm going to skip all that. I love this picture I found. Thank you, Google. This guy's really stressed out as the pictures are being taken, counting my pennies, my coins. But there was a survey of the top 7 stresses. Everybody ranked their top stress. At the very top was be able to pay off their consumer debt. Okay, what we call non-preferred debt. Any surprises there? Debt, man, it's a burden. My entire paycheck is already spoken for. Here you go, everybody. Not being able to retire and not having enough money to fund an emergency tide. 15.6% of the people out of like 7,000 said, that's my #1 stress. Wanting a nicer lifestyle. We can all tap into that one. Younger people said paying for education. How am I going to pay for this stuff? How am I going to pay for this higher level of college because it is so really expensive? Lack of stable income, and then finally, coming in number 7, paying their mortgage or their rent. Well, what's sad to me, you can't really see the number because of the picture, but 9.4%, that was their #1 stress. That's 1 out of 10 people are stressed about making their mortgage or rent payment. This stuff just won't be dramatic, but it saddens me. It is, nobody's helping people figure this stuff out. And I've been doing this for a long time. Mortgage professionals are doing it in our team, but that's 1 at a time. You might meet with 5 people in a month, 10 people in a month that you get to have this conversation with, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of other people. Nobody's helping them. How important is this? This is something we share with everybody when they come into our office, actually. How you handle the purchase or the financing of your home will have far-reaching implications on virtually every other aspect of your financial life, including your ability to save, pay for college, plan for retirement. Anybody heard of Rick Edelman? Yes? One of the top financial planners in the world, written many, many books. But he is a huge proponent of the real estate, the house, not rental properties, but just understanding your borrowing and repayment decisions around a house, your own home, in the whole scheme of your financial goals. So, the 4 blind spots. I wrote this in 2010 with a colleague, and we really wanted to figure out what is getting in the way of what everybody's trying to achieve. This notion of financial freedom, this notion of financial independence, heck, just not being so stressed out with my money like we just saw that recent survey. And as it applies to our worlds, with all those folks out there trying to buy a new home, sell one, move up, these blind spots that we've identified are keeping people from engaging in the market too. Has anyone gotten someone calling them very excited to get out and start searching for a house? They go through the pre-qualifying, the pre-approval process, and then they kind of go dark? Anybody happen to have that? Yeah. I like to go out on an extreme limb here and say there was a financial concern of some sort that did not get uncovered. Something was freaking them out. Something was keeping them up at 2 a.m. that nobody wanted to ask or address or knew how to talk about because they were worried they didn't have the answer. We don't have to have the answer. We need to get it to the surface. And maybe we can connect them with somebody that has the answers, but a lot of times they went dark because they just got scared by something financial. Once in a while, there was some personal thing came up, but usually they would tell you, hey, I'm sorry, but family emergency came up. But money plays a big part in all of this for our clients. And a lot of the folks we've already helped, all of our valued clients that are already in a home, still don't know really how to handle this as a tool, how to handle their paychecks as they come in, what to do with the money. So these blind spots, the number one is lack of a plan. People don't plan very well, right? In general, as human beings, I want to get out of debt. They don't have a plan on how to get out of debt. I want to help my kids pay for college. I don't have a plan on how to do that. Hey, I want to pay cash for our vacation next summer. I don't have a plan really to do that. It sounds like a nice goal. So they don't plan very well. I want to put my house on the market this summer and buy a new one. Guess what happens? We get the call Thursday night, hey, we want to go look at a house tomorrow. Can you get me pre-qualified real quick, pre-approved? That's not a plan. That is absolute chaos and stress, and there's no way they're going to have time to really think about the big picture, map out the right plan, maybe even a plan B. So we've got to help people kind of get ahead of it a little bit. Lack of fiscal literacy, already touched on that, right? People don't understand money. There's a huge lack of fiscal literacy out there. Storing money in inefficient places is the third blind spot that are holding people back. I've got $500 left at the end of my month. What do I do with it? Do I prepay my mortgage? Do I pay down that 0% credit card? Why are you still smiling back there? Because now you got the food?
I can see.
Do I stuff it under my mattress? Do I pay off that 0% credit card that's got 8 months for balloons to 20%? Do I go beef up my 401k contributions? What do I do with my cash and cash flow? And usually when they don't have any tools to empower them, then they make some of the wrong decisions around that. A huge blind spot. And then the fourth, the one we all love the most, because this is where you all come in. We have made a practice of helping home buyers and homeowners understand how important you are. A lot of times probably even more than you realize. Because we call you part of the wealth team. You are helping people obtain an asset worth $300, $400, $800, $1 million. More than they've ever bought before of an asset. It's huge. So in our eyes, you are not real estate agents. You're part of a wealth team for these folks. So that's how we position you, and guess what? We position ourselves that way too, because it's that important. And this fourth blind spot is saying you need a team of experts in each area of your money, helping you, holding your hand, walking you to the finish line. Tax expert, okay, eventually you're going to outgrow TurboTax. As cool as it is, and I love the commercials, you're going to grow out of it eventually. It's going to get more complicated. You're going to need an insurance advisor, an estate attorney, helping you understand, do I really need a will or not? I mean, not everybody has an estate in their mind, but you need some protection. Financial advisor, what do I do with my money? Real estate professional or mortgage advisor. We call that the core 6. So I'm hoping you're connecting some dots here, because this conversation is completely different when somebody comes in and goes, hey, what's your rate versus what I saw online? First of all, blind spot number 2, they have no idea. If you're watching this live and you're one of my clients, sorry, but you don't know how interest rates work. So quit asking that question blindly. But guess what? Nobody's taught them what question to ask. We just need to show them how interest rates work. Behind the scenes, peel back the curtain. So, you guys are very important. I'm going to tie back a lot of stuff to these 4 blind spots, because this is the story we're telling when people come in. If they don't realize there's a problem, then why do they need a solution? Everything's going to be easy. And guess what? You're not on track. You're not on course. I have a lot of the ducks in a row, but there's a couple of things we still need to fix. And I'm only an expert in the mortgage world. You know, our mortgage professionals are only experts in that area. You're experts in the real estate area. Time for the quiz. Front row. Here we go. Come up and down. A large down payment will save me more money than a small down payment. Raise your hand if you think that's true. Thanks for listening. Anybody? Come on. Few yeses.
Save you money in which way?
I don't know. I'm new at this.
Well, yeah.
You guys overthink this.
Yeah.
Who says false? Who says false? Who just will not raise their hand at all today? Good Lord.
Oh, she's raising her hand.
There, and I have another one here. Yes. All right. Another question. A 15-year mortgage will save me more money over time than a 30-year mortgage.
Yes.
True?
Yes.
You pay less interest.
Yes, good.
False? Any falses? Anybody just not raising their hand again? All right. Making an extra principal payment saves me money. Man, adamant truths. Okay. So most everybody's true?
Yes.
Yes.
Any falses?
Maybe. Depends what you do with the money.
Hey, oh. Okay, we got a maybe. We got something in the middle. The interest rate is the main factor determining the cost of my mortgage. Who says true?
It's the main.
Now you're trying to read the fine print. Just thinking about it, little private discussions. All right, you guys, it depends. Okay? It does depend. So we're all nodding along like, duh, we all get that. How many of you have ever told a client, call around and see who's got the best rate? Anybody in this room? One honest person? 2? I know my advisors in the room worked with a lot of real estate agents. I've worked with a whole bunch over my years. And the clients tell me, well, my realtor said I got to get 3 quotes. So, if we all know this just depends on, what's it depend on? Fees?
Points.
Yep.
Service.
How you do structure.
Service?
How to structure the loan.
How to structure the loan?
Term.
The term of the loan? Right? Doesn't a 15-year mortgage have a lower rate? want the lowest rate. Here's a 1-year ARM.
Depends on the client's financial resources.
Depends on the client's financial resources. Right? There's a lot to talk about when you're about to borrow hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're only going to do it several times in your entire life. So how does the conversation come down to send me a quote? Send me your fees and your rate quotes. I'm going to compare it to what I got online from some dude in South Dakota. It's an accident or something. It's your accident. All right, I'm glad we all agree. So I have just changed your whole path of your career because we appreciate it on the mortgage side of things, that's for sure. House versus home. This is one of our favorite conversations. We give this out to a lot of our clients when they come in. If any of you want a copy, reach out to myself, reach out to your mortgage partner that invited you here. We all have a copy of this. And it goes like this. When I say the word home, what kind of things come to mind? Family? What else? Comfort. I hear safety somewhere.
More time spent there.
More time. Yep. Memories. So a lot of times when we teach people the house versus home conversation, the home is all of those emotional aspects of owning this place, right? How much can I help with that piece? I can't help a lot of that. So I'm very honest with clients when they come in over the years. And our advisors are as well, because do people make financial decisions with emotion a lot of times?
Yes.
Very much.
Yes. Yes. You know, it's natural. So that's why we have this conversation. I'm going to say it over and over. When you change the conversation, you create new thought, you get buy-in. People are saying, wow, finally it's different. I never thought about it that way. Because you have to believe that they need to think about it a little different way. Don't rush into this. So, what about a house?
Investment.
Investment? That's it? Financial security. What else comes to mind when you now say the word house? Know where I'm going with this.
Asset.
An asset. All right. Tax benefits for a lot of folks, right? The appreciation is the asset. Some people work out of their house and get a nice tax deduction.
What if it's a money pit?
Still logical. It's just poorly logical, right? There's always the what if person in the crowd. So, our job is to keep people more logical. We know they make emotional financial decisions. And we know they're going to buy emotionally. But it's a lot of money. It's a huge amount of money for folks. Many times it's their life savings. They just sold a house. I've got $200,000 and here it comes over here. They're moving huge chunks of money around. So this is what we call the house versus home conversation. And it really is just a quick conversation where people, they stop, they hit pause, and they think differently about this decision-making process. Because it's important. Here's a cool slide that I just updated from the Fed Z1 report that comes out every year. $13.35 trillion as of Q4 of house wealth across the country. So, 24% of Americans' investable wealth is inside the house. 28% of Americans' common debt is the non-tax preferred kind. We like to call the bad debt. Auto loans, credit cards, even those student loans, once there's no more tax benefit out of them. That's a lot of debt. And it's funny, I use this every year when I do these educational events. And that ties into that survey. I just realized this, a little slow, but I realized that tied into that number one stress of trying to pay off debt. 67% of Americans have more wealth in their house than all other investments combined. So that's also why we're here today. If that's the case, and nobody knows how to really treat it or look at it. And guess what? There's a lot of financial advisors who don't even know how to include this in the overall plan. I mean, there's this house, but there's a mortgage. It's an asset and a liability. You know what? Let's just push this over here and focus on the assets under management piece. Because it's kind of a weird one. It is an asset, but it's got a debt secured against it. So I did something else. Here's one from 2 years ago, and this was more from my own curiosity. In 2 years, Q4 2014 to Q4 2016, house wealth has gone up just over $2 trillion. Now, it's not really that surprising, right? I mean, values have just gone up in houses. The mortgage debt has gone up not quite $500 billion, but the values have gone up $2.5 trillion across the country, which has created an even more abundant amount of money sitting as wealth inside of a house. The other thing I noticed on this, if anybody else has, non-preferred debt's gone up almost $500 billion in the last 2 years. That's crazy. That's the boat loans. That's the credit cards. Car, auto loans. Anybody know why that might happen from more of a historical perspective? Probably a lot of reasons it's happening individually, but in general?
Interest rates are lower.
Yeah?
Interest rates are low.
Interest rates are lower. There's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons that is always fascinating to me is how do you feel when your values of your home is going up?
Feel good,
Feel good, huh?
spend some more.
I got lots of money. I'm wealthy, man. I bought this house in here, and now it's worth this, and I have money. And we tend to, without understanding all the repercussions of that, we spend the money. We just go spend more money. The problem is, if there's $500 billion more of debt that isn't mortgage, they're not spending cash. They're spending money they don't actually have in their hands. So it's going on to debt instruments. So that was cash. Let's talk about cash flow. Recognize this guy. He's not usually this late, though. Cash flow. Okay, when you talk about liability management, being a certified liability advisor, it's helping people understand their liabilities and their cash flow. I say it every day of my life. I probably say it in my sleep. We live lives of cash flow. Cash flow drives everything. So, 52% on average, and these numbers fluctuate, but 52% on average, people are spending on committed expenses. 46% is on that car loan, dining out, the vacations, leaving about 2% left over. Now again, I think that's been up to as high as 5 when you look at recent statistics, and then it's been negative, like no money being socked away, a negative savings rate. So what I call this is lifestyle today in the first two and lifestyle tomorrow in that last box. So on average, let's just say 98% of your money, your dollars you bring in are going to your lifestyle today. You've got a whopping 2% going to your lifestyle tomorrow. Some of you are stocking lots more of that away. Some of you are going, my God, I'm not even helping with that stat. Okay, and that's life. Life. You never know what life's going to hit us with. 35% on average goes to the house between committed discretionary expenses. So the house is a huge part of all this. There's a lot of costs that go along with owning a house. So over time, we have some options we can help people with. We can help decrease their committed expenses. So what's one way we, in the mortgage world, have been helping a lot of people the last 2 years decrease their committed expenses?
Interest rate.
Refinancing, right? Got in at 5, now rates are in the 3s. Help me lower my payment. Okay, we freed up some money. Now, I'll just say it. Sorry for anybody that might be online. It pisses me off how many people out there refinance their house, save $200, $300, $500, and have nothing to show for it 12 months later. Guess what? The 4 blind spots make me, I shouldn't be surprised. But how many of the mortgage professionals out there, as I challenge them, are helping people do something with those savings? I can't hold them accountable. It's not our job. I get it. But there's things we can do. We just help them free up $300 a month. That's a $300 of take-home pay. That's $6,000 a year of salary we just created for somebody. I was going to say, go to your boss and see if you can get a $6,000 pay raise tomorrow. No? Well, guess what? We can do it right now. But there's things we can do. Connect them with a financial planner. Set up auto draft. Don't let the money touch their hands. Because if I call you on our annual review 12 months from now, I want to know there's a minimum of $3,600 somewhere. Otherwise, this was a big waste and it went into what I call lifestyle inflation. We may have done it ourselves, but we also know hundreds and hundreds of clients, maybe each, that have done this. In the last 2 years, I cringe when people call us a couple years from now with the question, we look back how much we saved, what are they going to have to show for it? And I don't know the solution to this. I honestly don't, because human discipline sucks. It really does. And it's not our job to hold everyone's hand to do what they should do with money. But if we can create new thought, and we can create ways, all of us, unique ways, whatever that doesn't exist now, that gets people to understand the impact of not doing something with those dollars. I think there's things we can do there as a team, as a profession. So if I decrease that, I have the choice to increase my discretionary expenses. I can live a bigger life, get a better car, take more vacations, or I can maintain my lifestyle. And depending on what I do there, I'll have the choice of either increasing my tomorrow savings or maintaining my current savings. It's up to every individual. But let's say I free up $250. To some people, that doesn't sound like much. We have people on the phone that'll scoff at that. Not really worth it. Too much paperwork. What? How much you saving now? Well, here and there I save a couple $100. You just doubled your savings rate. Like, I know it's a lot of paperwork. It's paperwork. But what does that mean? If I show them perhaps applying those same dollars back onto your new mortgage, it'd be paid off in 18.5 years. Or you've got nothing in the bank, you're not filling up your 401k. How about we save that and quit giving it back to Wells Fargo or even Sierra Pacific, whoever's servicing your mortgage. And build your nest egg, build your liquidity, build your safety net. Over 30 years, that turns into $305,000 potentially. And on your rates of return and all that. That, by the way, is more than most people have in their retirement account now. Across the country. And we just showed them. So what we're doing here is taking that extra minute to get them emotionally connected with what $250 really means. It could be $50. Do you know what $50, if your kid's 2 years old, will look like when they're 18 and ready to go to college? If you just keep socking those dollars away, it's a lot. It might be a year's worth of their education. But $50 doesn't sound like much, so we've got to connect those dots for them. Who can define opportunity cost for me? Give your best shot. There is wrong answers.
Opportunity cost is something that you can get out of it upon sale of the house.
Opportunity cost is, louder? What you can-
Opportunity cost is something that you have to invest in order to get a profit upon sale.
Okay, so for real estate, you have to invest to get something out of the sale later, okay?
It's the loss of something when you use dollars or time for something else.
Okay? The loss of something when you use dollars for something else, okay? Any other versions? No? Those are pretty good. If I put my money here, I lose out on the opportunity over here. right? If I sell my house, I got $100,000 and I put it all down on the new house, I've lost all opportunity of what else I could have done with that $100,000, right? If I'm currently renting, but I think I want to buy a house, and I saved up 20 grand, or bless them, mom and dad are going to help out, because I'm living in their basement, I'm 32 years old, they're ready to get me out, and they're going to give me a down payment. I could go invest those dollars, I could buy a house with those dollars, but I can only do one thing with those dollars, right? So we need to know what to do with them. We need some tools. So,
Thank you.
you got to read it by tomorrow. Do we have one of these? Groupie in the room. Awesome. Who wants this? Start here. I might have a few more. All right. Here's what happens in this example. Anybody have any cash buyers, by the way, this past couple years? You guys love cash buyers? Why do you love cash buyers so much?
Because I can get it.
We won't be offended.
In the house.
It's an easy sale.
An easy sale.
You can close quicker.
Don't worry about the appraisal.
Quick.
God forbid the house isn't worth what you're paying. What's that?
Not making any money off of that money that we have.
Not making any, okay. Now you're talking opportunity cost.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm not going to make any money here. Why not put it here? Yep.
Get one of those books.
So easy.
It's just opportunity right there.
I love it. Thank you, sir.
Sellers like cash sales because they
Sellers
can get
like
a
it.
better price on their house. Normally,
Okay.
buyers can't.
Okay. You guys are the experts in this stuff. We don't like cash buyers.
That's right.
They're no good to us.
You wouldn't like it.
No,
But-
they'll refi after they buy it.
Oh, they'll refinance,
Yeah.
pull it back out when they realize they should have done that?
No. Just sometimes you need the cash to secure the offer.
Yep. I get it. It's a crazy market out there.
It is.
We'll not sit up here and tell you your baby's ugly. So, let's look at logically what happens here. Oh, gosh. Shannon sells her house, moves out from Florida, 400 G's in her pocket, just burning a hole. She meets with one of you folks. Oh, you got to do a cash offer to get this house. Okay, it's the only way we're going to get your offer accepted because there's going to be 99 other offers this weekend. Okay? Why else do you pay cash? The answer's on the screen, actually. Why do people pay cash? Not for your businesses, but they think I don't want a payment. It's the same reason I'm trying to prepay my mortgage really quick, because I don't want a payment. Back to the cash flow. We live lives of cash flow. All right, so these guys, Shannon wants to buy a house and she doesn't want a payment. Okay, whatever her emotional baggage is with mortgage payments, we don't need to know that, right? And then she's going to be the most disciplined human being since the Neanderthals. And she's going to take what her payment would have been, and she is going to sock it away for 30 years. 360 times she is going to transfer what would have been her mortgage payment, $26.61 a month, and she's going to sock it away. Okay? She's going to defy all the odds. 30 years later, again, I'm using historic interest rates, so don't laugh. There's always somebody. That's what they should be. You know, they are usually 3 to 4%. 2.6 million almost over 30 years. How's that for a nest egg? Ain't bad. It's a lot of money. All right. Then Shannon's cousin, they're tight. They live next door to each other, had the same exact house, worth the same amount of money. Her cousin sells her house for $400,000, has cash, says, you know what, I'll put nothing down. Let's pretend we can still do it. Okay? Or USDA, VA, we'll go VA. And I'm just going to pay 7% interest on the mortgage, same that I would get as a return elsewhere. And I'm going to make a $26.61 per month payment. And I know my discipline stinks, and I'm going to go hand $400,000 to my advisor in one fell swoop. And that's it, I'm done. So I got mortgage payments to deal with. And I've stripped out taxes here, right? I'm keeping this math simple. Because some of you are already ahead of me going, but yeah, we get to deduct all that interest. It's really not equal, right? Well,
It's not
there's all kinds of other caveats. $3.24 million compared to 2.6.
So exclude the health and.
This one is $400,000 invested one time over 30 years with an average rate of return of 7%. Your cash buyer will not have that. Now, if your cash buyer is like Shannon and invests all those dollars forever for 30 years, exactly. But if they're the most disciplined human being on earth, they'll have 2.6. It's not bad. But to get that offer accepted, again, using current times as an example, potentially was a $658,000 decision, which is more than double, probably triple what most people have in their retirement account right now across this country. So when you teach a concept like that, how many people are going to be sitting there either going 400,000 with zero down or all down with 400,000? Guess what this opens up? Do I take all 200 and put it down, or do I put 100,000 down and do something else with the other 100? Right? I just created new thought. Imagine you were the only agent who actually has a cash buyer come along and said, hold on. Are you sure that's the right financial decision for you? I know it might help us get this house right here, but is it the best long-term financial decision for you and your family and where you're trying to go? I know I might get a commission check 2 weeks sooner, but you know what? I'm going to get it 2 weeks later. We're going to get a house. But why don't you sit down and hit pause for just a minute, take an hour, just map this out. I'm not the expert. My mortgage partner is. Just look at the options. You might come back to me and say, no, we're paying cash. It just makes sense for us to pay cash. Or you might put $200,000 down. You might put 5% down and go fully fund your kid's college education right now and no longer have to fit that into your cash flow. The thing here is, what was the first answer to those 4 quizzes? It just depends. We don't know. So we get a little tunnel vision on cash buyers because it's all about how we're going to get our offer accepted. And I get that from a business perspective, absolutely. And if they don't, they may not get that house, and that's their dream house, and it's very emotional. But is it logical? So all this stuff will kind of tie in, and it's okay if they pay cash at the end of the day, but they paid cash with confidence. They paid cash understanding the opportunity cost of it. That's really all we can do at that point. Because we just, guess what, eliminated the first blind spot. Lack of a plan. Now I'm paying cash with a plan. I know the pros and cons of both, and I'm choosing to pay cash. It's okay. We can feel good about that if that's the case. Okay? It's up to them. It's their financial decision. So does that kind of make sense to everybody from a conceptual standpoint?
I think that would be more for a financial planner than for a real estate agent, to me.
Well, you probably wouldn't show them the numbers, right?
Because I'm not really an expert in that,
Right.
in that area, and so I mean, they could talk to their financial, hopefully their financial planner would have already explained that to them.
Well, maybe. No, they wouldn't.
Sorry for any of my financial planner friends watching this. I wouldn't bank on that. All I would encourage, and maybe even challenge you at some point when the time's right, is to be the one that says, hey, pause. Have you thought about this? This is a lot of money. How many times have you had $400,000 in your pocket? You may never have this opportunity again. Especially in Florida. Real estate will probably pop again. Sorry. It's hot in here, isn't it? Is it me because I'm walking back and forth?
It's very hard.
Can we open even that door?
Yeah.
Get parched. Wine. And there's all these numbers. I mean, that just raises the level of heat in here.
Sorry.
And Shannon is all flustered paying cash for this house. All right. This is what I call the three-legged stool. You guys keeping up with me other than how hot it is in here? Right? Okay. Anybody heard of safety, liquidity, rate of return before? It doesn't work for me? Or been to every workshop we've ever done? Okay, it's a financial planning term. A lot of what the Borrow Smart principles are is taking financial planning concepts and applying them to the real world for homeowners and home buyers. That's really what we're doing. Opportunity cost. How many people talk about opportunity cost on home over there? Doesn't happen. Well, we can start the conversation, show them the what ifs, and guess what happens when it goes back to your comment, which
I need that.
yes. So, if somebody says, you know what, I think we'll just put enough down to achieve the monthly payment I'm comfortable with, what do I do with the rest of it? Am I qualified to answer that? Are you? Unless you're trying to get into buying an investment property, if they're really about real estate, absolutely.
Yep.
And there's some great investment planners, financial planners out there. They get it. To catch up, real estate's got to be a part of that portfolio. It just does. But that's where you bring in the financial planner. Like, okay, if I'm only going to put 100 of this money down, and I've got my payment goal, I paid off a few other debts with my other money, I talk with my accountant, it is tax-free, right? Knock on wood, because we are not giving tax advice ever. What do I do with the rest of my money? That's when you now make a connection to a trusted financial advisor, part of the wealth team. So that's how all this stuff kind of works together. Still get a house, but they made the right financial decision. Now, whatever I do with my money, it's not good for video. I want to know how safe is it going to be, right? If I paid $0 down on my house, like Shannon just did. No, your cousin did. Sorry, you made the wrong choice. Your cousin now has $400,000 and wants to know, okay, how safe is this money going to be if I hand it to somebody or I do something else with it? How liquid will it be? What's my potential rate of return? If I have $100 a month going somewhere, I need to know these three things. But nobody talks about how the house investment compares to these three things. Now we're going to have some fun. This was all prep up till now. Now we're going to have some fun. And by the way, if anybody has to go to the restroom, just sneak on that. But come back to this. Okay? You can go and just cool off, I guess. Who can define safety from a financial standpoint? What's that mean? Security. Who said that? Security. Meaning it's safe? Don't lose your money.
Everyone has their own level of risk.
Yeah. Safety. Thank you. The risk of loss of your money, right? Is it going to be there when I come back? When I need it most, is it going to be there? How risky is a savings account?
No, you just don't earn it.
That's next. Don't get ahead of us. Okay, that's another slide. Let's stretch this 2 hours out. How risky, how safe is an individual stock? It isn't Coca-Cola or Disney.
Same thing.
A little more risky? Relatively speaking? Okay? Right? All right, so there's a lot of risks to the wealth in a house. What is house wealth?
Appreciate
Equity, okay? I use the term wealth. It's money. I want people to think about it as money. It's a lot of money. What was it? $13.3 trillion of money across this country is in the form of home equity right now. With people severely underfunded on their other investments and retirement, too much consumer debt, and they got all this money sitting inside their house. And I'm not proposing they all go take it all out like they used to, like an ATM machine. We just need to make better decisions about it. Why would appreciation, by the way, ever be a risk?
Because it could be negative.
2008.
Well, that's depreciation.
Why is appreciation?
What happens when a house keeps going up in value? Taxes keep going up, I'm retired now. Get by on my Social Security.
You can't really lock in appreciation unless you refinance or get it out.
But there's people with their houses all paid off, did what they thought was right, because the value keeps going up, maintenance keeps going up, their insurance keeps going up, property taxes keep going up, and their income's fixed. And at some point, there was a lot of stories about that over the years, and you can't afford it anymore at some point. My meds cost more now.
Reverse mortgage.
Reverse mortgage. All that work I just did for years and years and years, and now I gotta go back. Okay? But it is a tool, and it's a very necessary tool coming up now because people didn't come to my class. So, we understand foreclosure, lawsuits. Statistically speaking, nobody in here has ever been divorced. Right? Okay? Somebody's getting half. That just happens. Inflation. What does inflation do to house prices? Yep. It's a good thing for us if you own a house. Values go up over inflation. So does the cost of most other things. Okay, who can define liquidity for me?
Quick, you can get the money in.
Quick, I can get my money out. Did you already get a book? No. You're right in front of me. Oh. Any other, I've already given you the book. You know his answer's right. The use and control of your money. How easy can I get to it? How liquid is a savings account? How liquid is your 401k? For those of you that have one. Okay? How about your house wealth? You forget that? I showed you that?
Yeah.
What are the two ways you can access it?
Home equity.
Those people. What's the other way? Perfect word. Borrow. So, relatively speaking, when we're talking purely from a liquidity standpoint, cash, obviously. Anybody have investment grade life insurance? Okay, you can get the money eventually. Not quite as liquid. It's going to take you some time to either sell your house and get that money, get that check, or if you want to go get a home equity line of credit, from 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, selling it's going to take a little while. Unless you got that cash buyer, it'll be really fast. So it is the least liquid of all of your money. I don't know any other less liquid places that the common person stores their money. Is there? For most of us, if I need that money bad, it's going to take me a while. It's not the place I want. What's that?
Small business.
There you go, yes. Safety, yeah. Rate of return could be good. So, borrowing's typically faster than selling. You got to get through these hurdles. We've all heard these hurdles before. Character, capacity, collateral, credit. What have you been doing the last 2 years? Where have you been living? What's your job like? Oh, I started my new business. Oh, great. Well then, let's wait a couple years. How about that? Stop showing them houses, unfortunately. Okay, they have to get those to get the loan. A lot of people, I don't know how many people in here have had clients want to start the process and then you find out they start a new business. It's painful. And a lot of them are making good money, but they don't realize the rules of the game that we have to follow. The good old Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have placed upon us as their servants. We got to have 2 years history typically. Now, I'm not saying some of that stuff's not coming back to help those self-employed, but right now it's tough. Or there's some fine print that will kick them out most of the time. Rate of return. Who can define rate of return?
Growth of your money over time.
What? You read my mind. Growth of your money over time. Work.
I know, right?
Awesome. Hey, Rod. Money inside the house can increase only two ways. Anybody want to answer that? It doesn't work for me?
Appreciation. Oh,
But I appreciate you. I love it. Appreciation.
improvements.
Improvements. Scratching that one for the purpose of today. Pretending you're all as handy as I am. Not going to happen. Ugh. All right. Principal. Your down payment. That created wealth inside your house. Okay, that 20% down, that all the down payment from your previous sale created wealth in the house. You didn't know how to filter it necessarily. You didn't say, well, what's the safety, liquidity, and rate of return of this down payment?
Wouldn't you call that equity instead of principal?
It's the principal is your money creating equity. Now it now converted into equity, but it was in your checking account for a brief moment there, or at the title company's account. Just okay, so you had a choice of what to do with it, but you chose in this case to put it as a down payment. Let's say. What about when you spend an extra couple $100 a month on your mortgage payment? Principal reduction, creating additional house wealth every single month. Very common way. Yes, you can go get some sweat equity into it, fix up the house. We're going to keep it simple for everybody today who's hot and drinking a little bit of wine. We're going to focus on these. Okay? So, and there's a couple new terms here. EPR. I already introduced opportunity cost. Ready for some real numbers? Seriously? I think I realized at the beginning, so I wasn't going to go too deep into numbers today. There's a lot of numbers here. So, but are they applicable so far? Are you getting how they would apply into your business, into what you do every single day? If anybody's falling asleep next to you, just give them one of those. So, this person's buying a $400,000 house. And they're going to put $80,000 down. Everybody with me so far? Okay. It's going to appreciate over time. They got interest to pay. I'm sticking with my 7% for now. So 10 years from now, this will still be applicable on my slides. 5 years later, my house is now worth $486, let's say. I've paid my balance down, and I've got a total wealth of $185,000. Equity in my house. 30 years go by, mortgage is gone. It's worth $1.3 million. And I've got a total wealth of 1.3, right? Pretty cool. A lot of this was coming from appreciation, and a big chunk was principal repayment, right? A bunch of that was your $320,000 over 360 payments coming from a checking account to pay down the loan. So one of the misconceptions we like people to understand when they come into us, and they only do this a few times in their life, is you didn't make $1.3 million on this house. People go sell their house for $800,000, and a lot of times they just have this belief like, I made $800,000 on this house, it's all paid off. It's not what you made on the house. It started at $400,000, right? You made $897,000 of it. The rest of that money you're walking away with, that you can now do something else with, was yours to begin with. It was coming from your paycheck into a checking account to principal reduction. Over and over and over and over. The money they actually made on this house was $897,000. Where did that all come from?
Appreciation.
And what determines appreciation?
The
For most
market,
people.
yeah.
The market. So the market contributed $897,000 of their wealth for them. It contributed $320,000 through what I call a lot of net worth neutral moves. Just moving $1 from here to $1 here. It's my checking account's lower by $1, but my house wealth's up by $1, and my mortgage is down by $1. Okay, over and over and over. If I make $200 extra payment on my mortgage payment, over and over and over because I was brought up that way and I think it's right. Is that increasing your net worth?
No.
Back to my quiz questions. Some of our answers are going to change a little bit, and it's going to be there's emotional pieces to it, there's logical pieces to it. What else did I do with my money? But you moved $200 from a checking account. Okay, it was already an asset for you. And you sent it to good old U.S. Bank. And they said thank you. I'm sure they sent you a handwritten thank you card when you did it.
Yeah.
Right? You really appreciate that $200. They don't give a, you know what? They don't care. They appreciate it because now they've got more money to go do what's called arbitrage and lend that back out to other people at a higher rate of return.
Statement system.
Yes, it does. It's good leverage of time. Just print it once and it's always on there. So, getting somewhere with this though. Now let's strip out appreciation. House never goes up. 30 years later, this house is worth $400,000. I pay down my balance over time, and at the end of 30 years, I've got total wealth of $400,000. So, without appreciation, the wealth in the house increases only through principal repayments, right? This is very straightforward, but sometimes this concept kind of smacks you a little bit until you fully grasp it. The only way I increased the wealth of my house was by shifting money month in and month out from my checking account to pay down my mortgage. Because the market didn't help me at all. I started out with a $400,000 asset. 30 years later, I got a $400,000 asset. Not to depress anybody, but right? If you don't think the house is going to go with value, should we buy a house? I knew somebody. I'm rooting for real estate agents, of course.
You have to pay rent.
You're gonna have to pay to live somewhere, right? Don't have to ask you to. So all of these emotional reasons always come into play, of course. Those don't go away. Okay. So what if I strip out principal and repayment? All those nasty interest-only loans, oh, they were just the demise of our whole country, and all the other countries failed because of interest-only mortgages, right? That's what the news said. I think by the end of this, if you really are connecting some of these dots, you'll know why I did interest-only loans every time I bought a house. When's an interest-only loan really bad?
You can't pay the interest.
Well, if I can't pay that
Well,
interest,
that's
I'm not
right,
going to
then
pay
you're
any
not in the
interest.
house. Yeah.
I definitely can't pay principal and interest if I can't pay the interest.
When the real estate market is,
Yeah.
I mean, it's still fun. It's hard.
Well, you're getting there.
Get out there. It's not liquid to get out there.
You're getting there. So what if I had paid down my principal really, really well, and then by 20%, then the market drops 20%? Where'd all my money go?
I wouldn't do that. You lost it temporarily.
Now they got my 20% too.
Negative.
The people who ruined it had interest-only mortgages and didn't do anything good with the savings. It was never in the news anywhere. Again, I'm getting on my soapbox from like 2008. But nobody talked about that.
But some of those people were paying, I mean, even though it's interest only, they're paying quite a bit of interest.
Well, you're paying interest.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, maybe they're paying 5%.
They just weren't paying interest plus principal. You're saying you paid a higher interest rate because you did interest-only loan?
Yeah, because you might not.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
Yep, sometimes. For the added benefit
because most people.
of not having to give U.S. Bank back the extra money.
Most people that can get a loan, they're not gonna do that. I would.
So it comes back to self-discipline, right? Just like refinancing, freeing up $250. If you now go spend an extra $250 a month, everybody's already doing it. So if I'm already going to do that, why not do an interest-only loan and go below the principal that I would have given U.S. Bank? My lifestyle today just got better. That's what people were doing with interest-only loans. And if they're not going to be disciplined with the money, they probably should have paid down their balance and lowered their mortgage debt. So that's conceptual for people, but I would I would hesitate for anybody to ever be just negative on interest-only payment loans, because that was the minimum payment for one. They always could have paid extra. They didn't. Now, pay option arms back in the day,
But those products were great for people, business owners, professionals that made a lot of money, had great cash flow, doctors,
and good discipline.
and good
Yeah,
discipline.
very good discipline.
Good discipline. There's a lot of doctors, sorry any doctors online, they don't know what to do with their money. Sorry.
If they use it, that's right, but if they weren't disciplined, took that cash flow savings
Yep.
and paid down student loans or things like that.
There is a reason those tools are out. The problem was suitability. Page out of the financial planning world. They live in a world of suitability. In the mortgage world, we lived in a world of eligibility. Do you qualify or not? If you qualify, here you go. B of A says I can buy $500,000 house on my $50,000 salary. And they didn't even ask me how much my health care is or my daycare for my kids is. Wow, it's amazing. Let's go do this. Okay, that's not suitability. An option arm wasn't suitable for most people who can't manage a paycheck or their checking book, checkbooks. Hello. So back, who got me off target? Sheesh, we got a time limit here. Okay. Without appreciation or additional principal repayments, our house wealth earns 0%. That's what I want to get to. It takes me a few slides to get through this. It's like proving a theorem in science class, right? I put $80,000 down on this house. I created $80,000 of home equity, house wealth. 30 years later, the market doesn't help me. I didn't pay down my balance. How much do I have left to show? Did that $80,000 earn anything?
No.
Depends.
Opportunities.
We're off the it depends thing. Right. Tax savings potentially. But maybe I could have done something else with that money too that would have outdone my tax savings. Maybe I could have paid rent. The point being is that those dollars, as far as rate of return go, minus taxes, there's one more piece to this. Earn 0 rate of return. And this is a concept that isn't for every customer in a 45-minute to 60-minute consultation. Because the cliff notes come across really harsh. Your down payment's going to earn you 0 rate of return. Just want you to know. They're out. They're on to somebody else. So, but we need to at least understand how this works. Those specific dollars don't make anything. What does make a rate of return? The house. My principal doesn't make any rate of return. What if I paid down that mortgage by $5,000? So I only owed $75,000. What would I be left with at the end of 30 years? $75,000. It doesn't earn anything. But what does earn me something? Appreciation. The house earns a rate of return. The thing you guys all had fun getting them earns them a rate of return. When an appraiser goes out and evaluates a house, do they ask how much they owe on it? No. It has nothing to do with what the value of that house has done since they bought it. What your neighbors did, what they sold it for, kind of impacts them. What the market's doing in general kind of impacts them. The fact that there's no supply kind of impacts that value and that demand. But the main point we all have to understand is every time we have somebody, and some of us or maybe do it ourselves, every time I send an extra $200 to US Bank, B of A, Wells Fargo, Sierra Pacific, because we service $14 billion of loans too, every time you send in that extra $200, now we know what the rate of return is going to be, right? 0. So we're talking liquidity, safety, and rate of return. If we can believe that that's the three-legged stool to make all of my money decisions, and I go prepay my mortgage by $200, how liquid is that $200 now? Compared to other places? How safe is it? I'm looking at you just to make you think about it, but no. I mean, yeah, historically it's pretty safe, right? Money in my house is pretty safe, right? Now, that's why we talked about the threats to it, right? If I stop making my payments, the rules of the banking game come into play. I can prepay my mortgage for 20 years, but if I miss 3 payments in a row because times get tough, what happens? Notice of default. They do not care, but I'm in good standings. I'm like an A++ client. Yeah. Great marketing once again. I respect the heck out of it. But we have to know how the rules play. What's the rate of return on that $200? Why don't you just keep asking, Todd? What do you got?
Zero. I said zero.
I know you did. You're on it, man. You're front and center. You've already read the book. Sheesh. While we stood here. Okay. Now we know how to treat house wealth like other investments. Extremely illiquid. Safe. Sometimes I'll compare it to like a bond. I was going to put into a 30-year bond or something. I mean, unless the country defaults, I should get it back.
It's kind of like an option, long-term option, 30-year option. $25,000, $30,000 down on a $400,000 house. You hold it for 3 years.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Got a big payout.
I like that. Yeah, it's the ultimate leverage. It's the ultimate leverage works both ways, of course. It's an inflation hedge. A 30-year fixed mortgage is an amazing inflation hedge. My payment never changes, while everything else around me goes up and down and gets crazy. So that's a big aha right there. What did I leave out, though? Anybody thinking about that?
Your interest maybe?
No, you are. Okay, apparently there's a lot of things I left out. Taxes. What else did I hear? Insurance. Commissions. No, I'm kidding.
Repairs?
How about you can cover your ROI on your 80 grand over 30 years?
Have you been to one of these before? Not going to break. Again, use the potty as much as you need to, please. Is everybody cooled off now? Are you freezing back there? Okay, you're good. You're blocking it for the rest of us. There's one other thing I left out, and it's not this inspirational quote I'm about to share. This is bonus material for you right now. To know and not to do is not to know. Chinese proverb. Whenever you don't know who said it, Chinese proverb. My mentor taught me this back in the early 2000s. The only failure is the failure to engage. If anybody here is not engaging with me, you have failed. Okay? You invested the time, engage with me. And I do want to ask you, how are you, I'm taking the mentoring myself right now, how are you feeling about your own freedoms of time, money? We're in a safe place here. It's a nest. We all know each other well. How are you guys feeling with time, money, all these crazy big words I'm using? Your family time. Is your business crazy right now? How many of you work, would you say, when you add it all up, more than 40 hours a week? Show of hands.
It's unbalanced for the most
Huh?
part. It's unbalanced.
Unbalanced. Some weeks are crazy and some aren't. Know what I mean? Anybody work more than 50 hours a week on average? Working hard, I love it. Anybody over 60? Man, some of you were at our 10X workshop. Were any of you at our 10X workshop, our Growth Summit? Of course you were. Love it, thank you very much. You were? You're just grabbing onto that wall. Nobody else? Okay, so we had, how many do we have in that room?
150?
It was a lot of people in that room. So we do an all-day event twice a year. And it's all about business planning, marketing, selling, big picture of this stuff, how you improve your business, a lot of breakouts. And in that room, I asked how many hours people were working, and I think I've got a few blogs out there on it. I was just blown away by how many people had their hands raised, even up to 60 hours, 70 hours. We had financial planners in the room, attorneys, we had some insurance professionals, of course a lot of real estate partners of ours. And I was blown away by how many hours people are working. So it goes back to, a lot of this is just information, it's data. Okay, it's cool knowledge. Again, I know I'm biased, but if you don't sit back, have another glass of wine, and figure out how I'm going to apply this into my business to where I can be that much more valuable, to where I can take more time off, take care of myself, and actually watch my business grow, then how important really is it? So hopefully you're seeing how this has had such a big impact. These concepts, I love it, but I also I'm averaging about 150 days off a year. And to start the year off, we were the #1 branch in the country. We're adding mortgage professionals. Last year, I did more than most loan officers in about 10 hours a week because the conversation's different. You're worth waiting for, right? That's the key. So you might grab one thing out of this day and go, man, I'm just going to hit the pause button on this, or I'm going to talk about the rate of return on home equity is 0. Whatever you want to apply, make it different because you can work far fewer hours. I'm not just going to pick on you. I'm going to stare at you as I say this. I think a lot of us have those weeks, right, where it's very unbalanced in this business. And if you're not showing people every time they call you, feel like you might lose the clients. So figure out how to differentiate yourself and really create something no other agents are creating. It can be done. We sell mortgages. Mortgages suck. I mean, they suck, right? It's a big pile of debt that nobody even wants. I might as well sell life insurance. Nobody wants it, but they all need it. You guys get to sell the cool stuff. You're the picture on the wall, we're the nail, all these analogies. Nobody wants what we sell. We put people in a debt, we're the cause of them losing their homes, but we have figured out a way to impact their lives. If you're dead, but you're smarter now, right? Or I'm smart. Okay, so if we can do it with mortgages, all of you, I encourage you, just it takes a few drinks, it takes some time close doors, figure out what the heck I'm going to do. Some of you, while you raise your hand, actually, I've got a purpose behind what I do. I love it. Just keep enhancing that. You're all here for a reason. You all made it through the meltdown for a reason. Thinking is the hardest work there is, and why so few people engage in it. It's one of my favorite all times. How are we on time, by the way? Man, I only have like 5 more minutes. You can't leave until 5. Just hanging out.
We've got food and wine and water.
I'm kidding. I've got another hour. I'm going to have to go fast. I'm really kidding now. I was kidding. So, one of the ways I will encourage you, I'm going to get a little sales training going here. Still finance in a way for the CE, but if people don't realize they're making mistakes, what I said at the beginning, if they don't realize they have problems, they don't really need your solution. So I encourage you to figure out some of the things that really piss you off about your industry. Figure out a couple things that people keep doing wrong over and over, and you've probably already been trying to help them, and make that a part of your selling proposition. I actually just did a video, Shannon will post it eventually here, about this #1 mistake I've been seeing for me 19 years now. And now good old Rocket Mortgage is making it even worse. Okay, there can be great people behind that phone app, but to train the masses to think you can go push a few buttons and be handed hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars when you don't know how to handle your finances yet, you definitely don't realize that home equity and 0 rate of return. It's a big problem, but they're being taught to treat getting a mortgage and the mortgage itself as a commodity. And it's not always the funnest thing to say, but we've got to get people to realize, hold on. This is the biggest pile of debt you don't ever want. It's going to be the biggest line item on your budget every month. And it's all to control the largest asset you probably will ever have in your life.
Or type pension making millions of dollars just selling rate. That's one thing, rate.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
So, compartmentalizing, not seeing the forest through the trees. You know, many people come in and go, give me your lowest rate. They absolutely don't want to pay any fees. And I want the best service ever. And I need my pre-qual letter by tomorrow. And why should I have to give you any paperwork? Just get it done. And then I'll go figure out the rest of my financial future. That's our version of compartmentalizing. And what did Rick Edelman say at the beginning? And what do we say every day of our careers? How you handle this financing is going to impact everything else in your life. If we decide to pay cash for a house versus putting zero down, $657,000 goes a long way. So maybe we talk about putting 20% down and doing something different with the rest. Maybe we clean up all this other debt you have and free up a lot more cash flow. Sometimes what happens, which is a huge plus, is suddenly we cleaned up the whole picture. As Tricia said, we take a really holistic picture of this. And the reason I'm broadcasting this and hoping some of my mortgage friends around the city, state, country happen to watch some of this and not bored from me talking, is that it's a challenge to all of us in the mortgage world to help them understand how these things work. Because if we show you a bigger picture and you use some of that money, clean up the old student loans that have been chasing you around for 8 years, get rid of these credit cards, you also free up some buying power. Okay? Well, I only can have a payment here and buy a house here. It's because I've got all this other stuff going on. Well, what if we look at all that stuff and we clean it up for you? I'm not saying, we don't work miracles. We're going to have something to work with. But suddenly you've got some better options now. Now you can buy a little bit more house if you need to actually find a house you like, because there's nothing on the market. Still put enough down to achieve a payment goal. Have nothing else to deal with. And for the first time in your life, you've got 3 months of expenses socked away. That's pretty cool. That's fun to do. And then the 4 blind spots I shared earlier. So what did we leave out earlier when I left off on this? Cash flow. If I put nothing down, won't my payment be a little higher? I just borrowed $80,000 more. That $80,000 was actually going to achieve a lower mortgage payment for me. That's pretty big. So I stripped it all out. We now know that home equity doesn't earn a rate of return. But I still might need to put some money down. I get that logically, maybe it's not going to be liquid. I'm going to get 0 rate of return, which stinks. I get that it's still safe, but I need a lower payment. I can't just not put anything down. I need a smaller mortgage. So here's how we approach this. Interest on 320 versus 400, 1867 versus 2333. That's just the interest expense between those two loan amounts. Assuming you're deducting the interest, like most people are, so your tax advisor, you're going to get some of that back. Am I going to get less back when I pay down more on my loan? I have a smaller mortgage, right? So I'm paying less interest, so I'm going to get less back from Uncle Sam.
Yep.
Okay? So some of this is, how do I get more help from other people to pay for this thing over time? So the net difference between those two loan amounts is $326. So I got to figure out is this the best use of my $80,000? How do I figure that out? I got to make up $326. If I'm not going to put it anywhere else, if I don't want to put it down, and what else am I going to do with it? It needs to make me at least $326 somewhere else. So when you work backwards, I need a return of 4.9% on that money. If I can't get that, I'm putting it down on the house. Okay? I'll walk you through it. So this is, in my book, it's called the effective percentage rate. That's what EPR stands for. It's the coolest tool we can give to people. Effective percentage rate, EPR. It helps me make a lot of my decisions around money. I'm going to use old tax brackets because, again, you can see how lazy I was. I didn't update some of my slides from like 2007, 2014. And it's hard to plug all these numbers in. Our software has newer ones. I think you have a worksheet in here I'm not going to make you actually do right now to save you some time. So if you can stay with me, I won't make you actually, you're already probably filling it out, so you're good. Good student. Just taking notes, I love it. So here's how you figure out the net cost of borrowing, your EPR. If I don't make you fill it out, are you engaged enough to follow along? Without making you look at a piece of paper and actually write it out? Okay. You take your interest rate, and I'm going to stick with consistent numbers, 7%, let's say. You figure out what your marginal tax bracket is. Who knows what their marginal tax bracket is? How do you come up with it?
It's up to 35,000. It's
Fed tax, US tax, Oregon tax.
You're talking real numbers, just in general. It's your federal rate. That rate might be in different rates. Plus state, right? Add those two together and you get your marginal tax bracket. I realize I'm slightly behind on that. Sorry, I never let my go. All right, 7%. Let's just say it's an even 30%. Okay? You multiply that, you get what's called an interest reduction, 2.1%. So I go through the year, I'm paying 7% on my mortgage. I go get that, what is it, the 1098 statement? Thank you from the bank. Hand it to my tax professional, and I get 2.1% of that money back that I paid in interest. So to figure out your EPR, you take the 7% minus 2.1, and you end up with 4.9. That is my true after-tax cost of borrowing based on my personal tax bracket and my mortgage interest rate. So, let me ask you this. If I send in an extra $200 to the mortgage company, how much do I save? No?
4.9.
Jesus, stop. He's got the answers. He's already read the book. Do you save 7%? I'm leading you there. Boom! Do you have a book yet? You already have one. 4.9 is what you save. You know,
$9.18.
you figure that out? So, if I'm going to send in money, you know, take today's rates. This is how crazy this is. Let's say you have 4% interest rate. You know what roughly your true cost of borrowing is on that for most people?
1.5.
No, it's lower. Your after-tax cost of borrowing, after you apply your tax benefit, a lot of people, depending on the tax brackets, 2.8, 2.5.
Especially in Oregon, you guys taking it.
Yeah. It is ridiculously cheap. So, here's how I use this to make decisions. If my true cost of borrowing is let's say it's 2.8%. Let's say I got a mortgage at 4%. But after I get my money back, hopefully, from Uncle Sam when I do my taxes, the net cost is 2.8%. That's what I'm borrowing money at. And the question is, what else can I do with my money? If I can't, so now I have a number. Well, if I can't make better anywhere else, I'm going to pay down my loan, right? Well, what do I need to beat? I don't need to beat 4.9. I mean 7 in this case. 4% in my case. I need to beat 2.8. Do you think, how many people think you could beat 2.8 over time? Right? Yes, you can. After taxes, though. So, do you know how many people are prepaying their mortgage right now? Because they think it's the right thing to do. You know how many people don't have 3 months of expenses socked away in a cash reserve somewhere? And those same people are prepaying their mortgage. You know how many people haven't started saving for little Johnny's college? And how many of them said their number one stress is I want to pay for college someday? So these are what are called competing intentions. I want to build wealth. I want to retire rich, whatever your definition for rich is. It's a little play on words in my case. But you're competing against it when you make that third blind spot. Remember the third blind spot? Who remembers that? That doesn't work for me. You got the article out. That's the fourth. Come on, keep up.
Money in inefficient places.
Storing money in inefficient places. See how this all comes together now? I'm prepaying my mortgage. I don't really know how to make that decision whether it's good or not. I got this 200 extra bucks. I know what it kind of means, at least if I prepay my mortgage. I know what home equity is. I don't really, it gets a little vague if I give it to my investment guy or gal. I know I probably should put it under my mattress. Still got 0% for 8 more months on that credit card. But they're not doing the right stuff with it. They're storing it inefficiently. Most people, not everybody. So this one number that I'm sharing with you helps me decide if I should prepay my mortgage or invest that money. I now have a number, right? So if I know you'll all go home and do this. You'll take that worksheet out and you'll figure out your own EPR at home, right? Everybody's going to do it? Everybody, I'm sure, will do it. Now, we have some really cool software, so if you ever need to know, just call us in 2 seconds. Our loan officers can plug it in and say, here's your EPR. Because we show every single homeowner what their EPR is. They need to know this number. Because it helps you know, should I borrow money for that kitchen remodel? Cash out refinance, home equity loans? Or should I pull money out of my investments? I need to know the true cost between those two. Okay? So money in, if I pay down my loan, it's 4.9 I'm saving. If I pull money out at 7, it's only costing me 4.9. That's the real money. So here's the 7 steps. So these are in the book. This is a part of our teachings every day of our lives. We take the first 4 steps are very common, right? When you're about to get a mortgage, say, okay, what's my best product? What's the most common product everybody wants?
30-year fixed.
30-year fixed interest rate, right? What other products are out there?
15, ARM.
15,
Interest
interest only. I knew you liked interest only. FHA, yeah. VA. So what we do is we turn it into a question, a financial planning question. How do you want to manage your risk? Which is riskier to some people, 15-year or 30-year?
52.
Why?
Because
Higher monthly obligation. If times get tough 4 years later, who cares?
Can you go to 30?
You have to refinance to go to a 30, yeah. Can you pay a 30-year off in 15? Right? So it's you want the lowest rate? Great, there's a 15-year mortgage. But how do you want to manage your risk? Secondly, payment. How should I repay this loan? It's a fun conversation. You pay it back over 30, you pay it back over 15, 20, 25. You can prepay it by a couple $100 a month. A lot of ways to prepay the loan. How much can I borrow? And then fourth, how much should I borrow? The fourth one is what went away in 04, 05, 06. They said, well, here's what I can borrow, so apparently I should borrow it. That got people in trouble. Thinking the banks had your best interest at heart. I was blown away back in early 2000s on a loan application, and I didn't have to ask anybody how much they paid in childcare. And I had 2 kids go through Montessori. I got more mad. I mean, $2,000 a month of take-home pay going to kids' care. That's the equivalent of about $40,000 a year of salary going to my kids being well taken care of. and it's not on the loan application anymore.
Still not.
Still not, I know, they haven't
Except
updated
for
the loan
VA.
application. Oh, VA, yes, VA is a little different. So I will say a lot of mortgage professionals, if they're good in this business, they do those first 4 really well. But there's more to it than that. Who's going to help me manage my liabilities? Okay, if you're going to do an annual mortgage review with your clients, who's going to help you look at the big picture? That's where I encourage all mortgage professionals to do that better. Help them understand these concepts and reapply them. They're not going to sit in a 45-minute consultation with you and get all this. They'll get a little bit, but I need reminding. Remind me. I need, okay, I got off course now. Help me shift back over. How do you protect your equity? What's some ways to protect your home equity? I have one book left. Huh? What kind of insurance? I thought nobody likes mortgage insurance. Homeowners? What are some ways that don't cost you anything?
Make your payments.
Maintenance.
What will protect you to make your payments? If you own your own business, you're in trouble. If you work for somebody else, it's not really up to you. Unless you read a lot of Jim Rohn and work on yourself. How about just having a bunch of money socked away somewhere?
Savings account.
Savings accounts. I don't like any of your answers. There's no good answers here. These are all good answers. But the easiest way we can help people is sock money away. Instead of giving U.S. Bank the extra $200 a month beyond what the minimum payment is, and I go put it over here and I build up my nest egg, when times get rough, can I get through it and keep making my payments at least? Now I'm protected. There's another way that we advise a lot of people to do. Okay, if you work for me, you can say it. What's another way? Oh, what a book. Get a home equity line of credit. Just go get one. Don't use it. Pay the annual $75 fee, but have it. What you just did was you created liquidity out of your house wealth. Don't wait till it's too late, because once you've lost your job, you can't get one of those either. If you've got a bunch of equity in your house, go down, get a home equity line of credit. They're usually free. We do not do these. Just walk into your bank or credit union and go get one. They're free. They're easy. Do a drive-by appraisal and open up access to that in case of emergencies.
And then if the market gets bad, like it did in the way, go get max the land credit.
Yeah, then take it all out before they close it on you. Yep. So, and discipline. Tell you what, this is where the wealth team comes in place. One of the things you want to do, I don't like using the should word, it's a lame word. You've got to build up such a laundry list of reasons or things that someone will miss out on if they don't choose you. Okay, back to sales. People need help. They want great service. They want an experience. But it's up to you and us to go to make them say, man, if I don't work with Brian, what am I going to miss out on? You're going to miss out on access to your network. You really are. Okay? I can't hold you accountable for all this. So discipline, financial planner, here's a CPA. I'm going to check in on you. Okay, I'm putting a calendar reminder, 90 days from now, you should be socking away $250 a month, so that's $750. I want to hear that it's somewhere. 2-second call, quick email. They love that. Okay, they need it. That's how we really add incredible value to the people we serve. Not going to go into that. Takeaway time. 4 blind spots, you got it? You all got copies of it? House versus home conversation. Logical versus emotional. Opportunity cost. Who liked that one? It's a good one. It's always a fun one. Still smiling. Safety, liquidity, rate of return. We call that the three-legged stool. Can't take any of them away. House wealth as an investment. Once you understand that, what's the biggest takeaway from that you guys got? What does home equity earn? 0 rate of return. There are tax benefits too of the mortgage itself you owe, hopefully. The rate of returns on the house. Whether you put 0 down or pay cash for it, that house is going to do what it's going to do. Depending on the market, your neighbors, how well you keep it up. EPR, is that helpful for anybody? The true cost of borrowing money. Now I can make my borrowing, my repayment decisions. I have a new version of this book, which is why I'm giving them all out, because this thing's ancient. Kidding, the concepts are all the same. But I'm changing the title to Borrow Smart, Repay Smart. Because that's more actionable. We are going to all retire rich. Yes?
Trevor, don't you think, I mean, as a real estate broker, that's a great tool to show people that, hey, you know, you think you can only afford a $400,000 house. Really, you know, let's start looking at 425, 435, just in terms of the effect, the real cost.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
It all comes down to cash flow, right? My default is cash flow. If you can't afford the payment, you're not going to get to the end of the year and enjoy the tax benefit. But you can show, like we often show people, the after-tax total payment.
Want to see what I'm missing here in this concept. We all have a lot of boomers as clients. A lot of them my age, older. Free and clear homes. Want to step down, buy down. Take that house and we sell it on contract. Because that our asset, we know that asset, and we know return on our equity. We sell it on a contract, we get 20-25% down to put down on our new asset, which is a step down, and making 8 to 10% interest rate. So after 5 years,
The house they kept.
because then you're utilizing that asset, it's disciplined.
That's a level 2 class, because that is... So did anybody hear what he said? I know we're wrapping here in a minute. A boomer, if I get this right, they keep their house, it's all paid off, right? They sell it on contract. They use enough money for the down payment on their downsized house. Now they got rental income, and they got a smaller house they can live in for some tax benefits, but they probably still need tax benefits. And they got cash flow from this other house. A lot of boomers are going to be downsizing. And if they've done right, yeah, they've got their house paid off. That's a great strategy to don't just sell and go pay cash, because income is most of their biggest fears. What's my monthly income going to be? I love it. All right. Hey, don't be this guy.
Good job.
I retire on Friday and haven't saved a dime. Here's your chance to be a legend. Anybody know who Gary Keller is? You guys should. All should be reading those books. When our daily actions fulfill a bigger purpose, the most powerful and enduring happiness can happen. My favorite quotes from him. Back to that fourth freedom, purpose. I would love it if all of you that didn't cheat and get out early. Oh, it's 5:01. Go like my Facebook page, because I will continue. It's a business page. It's not my personal, what I'm doing with the kids and golfing and all that. But if you go like it, Trevor Hammond Coach. I just like to share sales and marketing tips. It's the same stuff I'm doing in-house behind closed doors with our loan officers. Go like it. I share a lot of stuff there, furthering our concepts around this. Thank you, Old Republic title. Where did Tricia go?
Right here. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll get certificates out to you next week. I'll email them to you. Don't hesitate. Let us know if you have questions. There's
You
more
do?
wine, more snacks. Help yourself.
Tricia.
You what?
This way. I didn't see a clock.